India's relationship with France is old and deep, based on principles of strategic autonomy and mutual respect. PM Modi's visit to Paris as a co-chair of AI Summit is testimony to the endurance of the relationship. I believe that France cannot continue to be France if it leaves its role in the world by wayside. As chair of the Artificial Intelligence Action Summit in Paris, the president would be trying to fulfill this obligation, and he has invited Prime Minister Narendra Modi to co-chair the summit, offering India an important part in the effort to make and shape the rules for technologies on the next frontier. Back in 1998, speaking to New Delhi's Vigyan Bhavan, President Jacques Chirac first proposed the idea of a partnership for 21st century with India, a global partnership grounded in our complementarities and our common interest. The invitation to India to co-chair the AI summit is being seen as the recognition of a New Delhi's approach to AI and its expanding role in the new domain of new and emerging technologies. While China is a global leader in this breakthrough technology, the choice made by Paris signals the importance it attaches to shared values and convergences. India's strategic partnership with France is its oldest, and the two countries have stood together in addressing a range of global issues. In 2015, they launched the International Solar Alliance on the sidelines of the Paris Climate Conference, and they are co-chairs of the CDRI. Together, they have made significant contributions to writing a code for green and sustainable planet. They are now collaborating to mark the contours of development in the digital world. The summit will provide India with a platform to contribute towards the development of AI in an inclusive, responsible, and equitable manner and to address associated risk. India will share its views on the democratization of AI and on bringing its benefits to the global south. The Paris summit will seek to build on two summits held in UK in November 23 and South Korea in May 24. The Bletchley Park Declaration signed at the UK summit, attended by 28 countries, affirmed that AI should be designed, developed, and deployed and used in a manner that is safe, human centric, trustworthy, and responsible. The Seoul summit, co hosted by the UK, was attended by 27 nations. The Seoul Declaration reaffirmed their commitment to international cooperation on AI and to addressing the challenges opportunities presented by the new technology. The summit also proposed a network of AI safety institutes. The Paris summit has five main themes: public interest AI, future of work, innovation and culture, trust in AI, and global AI governance. It will aim to leverage existing innovation initiatives and fora on AI, including by the OECD. The summit will launch concrete initiatives to place AI at the service of the common good with specific focus on the needs of the global south. India has been actively engaged in a range of discussions, including co-chairing the AI governance and working group, participating in deliberations of the working groups to shape deliverables, serving on the steering committee, contributing to negotiations on leaders' statement, and participating in the GPI Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence ministerial meeting on the summit sidelines. India will be putting forward the example of India AI Mission. The 10,000 crore program aims to democratize AI innovation and ensure that its benefits are equally distributed to all citizens. On the global cooperation on AI, India is focused on three main areas: GPI. This is a OECD supported multi stakeholder initiative to guide the responsible development and use of AI. As a founder, member, and lead chair of GPI for 24, India has been working towards making GPI the nodal partnership for global cooperation on AI. Bridging the AI divide, India is pushing for inclusive AI governance, focused on bridging the widening AI divide between countries and democratizing AI globally. Global South priorities: India is advocating for empowerment of the voices from the Global South, in the discourse around the cooperation of AI, spotlighting the unique challenges, opportunities, and requirements of the developing world. Modi's visit will be an occasion to further deepen India-France strategic partnership. The PM shares a warm personal equation with Macron, and the two leaders met thrice in 2024. The president attending the Republic Day celebrations as chief guest. Strategic ties between the countries have traditionally pivoted on areas such as defense, security, space, and civil nuclear energy collaboration. In particular, the defense partnership has been seen an increasing indigenous equipment, increasing indigenous element. The defense cooperation is reviewed under the annual defense dialogue, defense minister level, and the High Committee on Defense Cooperation secretary level. Major ongoing defense-related projects include the P-75 Scorpion project, P-75 Scorpion project, and Rafale aircraft. The two countries are discussing buying 26 Rafale M fighter jets for the Indian Navy's aircraft carriers. 26 Rafale M fighter jets for Indian Navy's aircraft carriers and three more Scorpion-class conventional submarines. The bilateral ties are also expanding into the sectors of tech innovation, renewable energy, trade economy, supply chain, partnership, and people-to-people relations. The logo of the India-France Innovation Year 2026 will be unveiled during the PM's visit, and the two leaders will jointly inaugurate a Indian consulate in Marseille. The city is a global communications hub with its strategic location on the Mediterranean Sea, making it a key node for network of undersea cables linking Europe to Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. 99% of the world's data traffic, both internet and telephony, is carried by submarine cables. Modi and Macron will also hold an India France CEO Forum in Paris. An initiative on India France Triangular Development Cooperation is likely to be launched as well, through which India and France will aim to implement climate and SDG focused projects in third countries in the Indo-Pacific region. Macron and Modi will visit the ITER facilities close to the Marseille. India, which is active participant in the fusion technology project, has very significant energy requirements to fulfill its development goals. Ties between India and France have evolved based on a strategic autonomy and a sense of respect. President Chirac has been India's Republic Day guest in 1998, months before New Delhi conducted Pokhran 2 nuclear tests. And after when France refused to join the chorus of global condemnation and Western sanctions aimed at punishing India for its action, the same Chirac had agreed to be the Republic Day guest at France Prime Minister. As France Prime Minister in 1976 when India had been shunned by much of the world due to Indira Gandhi's emergency. These actions were testimony to French pragmatism, foresight, and commitment to the relationship with India as well as to the management of sensitive diplomatic situations. Bilateral ties have become even more durable and stronger since then. January 25 was the warmest ever, while La Nina did not bring down temperatures. January was hottest year in record with the global average wind surface temperatures 1.75 degrees Celsius above. C3S also said Copernicus Climate Change Service temperature reached record-breaking levels despite the development of La Nina condition in the tropical Pacific. This is what makes it a bit of a surprise you're not seeing this cooling effect or temporary break at least on the global temperature that we were expecting to see. La Nina is one of the three phases of what is known as El Niño Southern Oscillations, a climate phenomena characterized by changes in the sea temperatures along the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. ENSO influences, alters, and interferes with global atmospheric circulation, which in turn influences the weather worldwide. ENSO has three phases: warm, El Nino, cool La Nina, and neutral, which occurs in irregular cycles of 2 to 7 years. In the neutral phase, the eastern side of the Pacific Ocean near the northwestern coast of South America is cooler than the western side near the Philippines and Indonesia. This is due to prevailing wind systems. Eastern side of the Pacific Ocean near the northwestern coast of South America is cooler than the western side. Is cooler normal में cooler होता है. This is due to prevailing wind systems that move from east to west, sweeping the warm surface waters towards the Indonesian coast. The relatively cooler waters from the below come up to replace the displaced water. In the El Niño phase, these wind systems weaken, leading to lesser displacement of warmer waters of the South American coast. Consequently, the Eastern Pacific becomes warmer than usual. Eastern Pacific becomes warmer than usual. The opposite happens in the La Nina phase. The trade winds become stronger than usual and push large quantities of water to the western Pacific. While global temperatures increase during El Nino episode, they fall during La Nina. Their regional effects are more complicated. Each El Nino and La Nina phase is unique. No two La Nina cycles are exactly alike. The ongoing La Nina is expected to be weak. That could be because of its much delayed emergence. Experts had pegged La Nina to develop sometime in September, according to a report by US NOAA National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. ENSO events peak in the northern hemisphere winter, and there's not a lot of time for La Nina to strengthen. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Workplace practices to improve the representation of employees from historically marginalized backgrounds. Put simply, DEI refers to policies that seek to promote the fair treatment and full participation of all, particularly groups who have historically been underrepresented or subject to discrimination based on identity or disability. Diversity, the practice of including the many communities, identities, races, ethnicities. Equity is the consistent and systematic, fair, just, and impartial treatment of all individuals. Inclusion is the recognition, appreciation, and use of talents and skill of all employees of all backgrounds. And accessibility is design, construction, development, and maintenance of facilities so that all people can fully and independently use them. In Paris, an opportunity after DeepSeek, what India must do to be more than and also ran in the AI race. I won't celebrate AAP's defeat. It could be argued that cutting AAP's to size was necessary for genuine pro-people and secular politics to emerge, but BJP's victory takes it closer to complete political dominance. A reckoning in Manipur. Can the BJP set aside its long short-term electoral interest and restore normalcy in the state after Chief Minister N. Biren Singh resignation? In what appears to be the only honorable option left to avoid inglorious exit and a loss of face for his party, the BJP resigned as the chief minister on February 9. Unlike the staged resignation reversal drama of June 30, 2023, when Singh could divert the national media's attention from Rahul Gandhi's visit to the state, the governor's prompt acceptance of the Singh's resignation this time demonstrates the hollowing out of his populist politics and the BJP's national leader acceptance on his political liability, faced with an open revolt from a considerable number of members within the BJP in the valley areas and the withdrawal of support by the National People's Party. Singh and the BJP could not afford to face an imminent no confidence motion in the 8th session of the assembly. Singh's resignation marks both the unraveling and the culmination of the tensions inherent in his populist politics and leadership style, in his overweening ambition to reinvent his political image and project himself as Pabung father-like figure in the eyes of Methi ultra-nationalists. Singh has initially used his political skills to co-opt pliable held tribal leaders to overcome his fragile position during his first term in office. Despite comfortable majority in BJP won in 22 assembly election, he faced formidable rival power centers within the BJP led by Biswajit Singh and Govindadas Singh. To offset these challenges, he embarked on an aggressive populist drive to rejuvenate Methi indigenous politics centered around the revivalism of Sanamahism. Given that BJP and for that matters the Sangh Parivar has always seen indigenous cultures as pliable to Hindutva appropriation, this revivalism was never considered a threat to the Sangh's cultural agenda or the BJP's electoral interest in the state. However, large-scale mobilization of Meeti youth around this politics, and the use of two social and cultural organizations, namely the Meeti Lipun and the Arambai Tengol, had reactivated and re-insurgent space. The appropriation of this space by proscribed armed militant groups including the United Nation Liberation Front and the Kanglipak Communist Party became evident as these organizations either turned into their proxy foot soldiers or their activities and agenda overlapped. The dangerous portent this held for the legitimacy of the Indian state became evident in January last year at the Kangla fort when 38 elected Meiti representatives were reportedly asked by Arambai Tengol under the duress and against their constitutional oaths to commit themselves to aggressively push an ultra-nationalist Meiti agenda. The BJP grudgingly realized the dangerous gamble of such a localized populist politics. Such an event could be used to revive the indigenous past of the sovereign Kanglepek in many ways that bolster the secessionist agenda of the valley-based prescribed armed groups. This and the leaked tape where Singh's alleged role in perpetuating the violence in the state was apparently revealed seriously dented his image. The Supreme Court's admission of a petition in early November 24 and his direction on February 3 to the Central Forensic Science Laboratory, Hyderabad, to furnish his report in a sealed cover by mid-March put Singh under an unenviable public spotlight and made his position increasingly untenable and indefensible. The growing disenchantment with Singh's leadership became apparent 2 days before his resignation, when thousands of Mira Paibis reportedly staged demonstrations in Imphal demanding his quit. Their disappointment was over Singh's inability to shield the village volunteers in the valley areas and euphemism for Congress of trained armed youth groups, including proscribed ones from police arrest and criminal prosecution by central agencies. The large-scale mobilization of youth as village volunteer forces across the divide has radicalized them and incentivized the return of militancy in the state to unprecedented levels. Despite armed mobilization and massive deployment of center's paramilitary forces, law and order continues to remain precarious. Excess exhaustion set in across the state after 21 months of violence, there is an increasing demand to fix political responsibility and accountability. What is also interesting about Singh's resignation is that it showcases the transformation of a factional politics within BJP. As the viral resignation group photos demonstrate, it is evident that Singh has succeeded in taming and co-opting two formidable rival power centers represented by BJP and Govinda Singh, the arrival of a new rival power center represented by White Hemchand, Satyabrat Singh, and Radheshyam Singh may give a new window of opportunity to the BJP. It is not immediately clear if this rival power center will present a viable and stable alternative to Biren Singh's leadership. Although the BJP has avoided president rule in the state, the extreme polarization may impel a shift in the political gear if the party is seriously committed to restoring trust in the Indian state and its institutions. A moderate leadership that caves to an ultra nationalist meaty agenda or concedes to a separate administration, as demanded by Cookies Hamar groups, is likely to receive popular backlash from both sides of the divide. The big question is, can the BJP use the opportunity offered by Singh's resignation to set aside short term electoral interest and prioritize restoring normalcy in Manipur? The jury is still out. This refers to editorial Dhaka must act for a bulldozer procession against Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's residence has an uncanny similarity with the idea of bulldozer justice which in India was censured by the Supreme Court. Vandalism is a criminal act. The role of UNIS interim government is to restore normalcy and hold free and fair election. Any suggestion that the Awami League be banned from contesting election is to subvert citizens' constitutional right to choose the next government. This refers to the report chorus growing, Manipur CM finally quits, assembly on hold. Biren Singh's departure highlights not only personal failure but also the broader political and institutional shortcoming that allowed the situation to spiral out of control over the last 2 years. Further, the delay in resolving the crisis now leaves both communities armed with mistrust and resentment at high. A sustainable solution will require more than just political compromise. Turning onto the heat, Chhattisgarh is stepping up the fight against Maoists. It must not lower its guard, ensure that civilians are not in harm's way. Since December, when it assumed office in Chhattisgarh, the Vishnu Desai government has mounted a concerted offensive to neutralize Maoist insurgents. According to the state government's record, nearly 280 militants have been killed by the state security forces, 1,000 have been arrested, and 900 have surrendered. In the latest crackdown on Sunday, security forces targeted a Maoist stronghold inside the Indravati National Park in Bijapur district. 31 insurgents were reportedly killed, which made use of the police camps in the vicinity of the forest. In the past year, security forces have used these base camps as launchpad for attacks on Maoist strongholds. They have ended the security vacuum in parts of Bastar and restrained the movement of insurgents in the erstwhile strongholds. The recent operations has been enabled by greater coordination between security forces, including the BSF, CRPF, and the ITBP. From being the greatest internal security threat to our nation, as the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh described it in 2009, Maoism is today restricted to few pockets in Chhattisgarh. The number of Maoist affected districts has come down from 220 in the early 2000s to 40, with violence largely being reported from about 220 districts. The Maoist is no longer much of a force in its erstwhile strongholds in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Jharkhand, and Bihar. South Chhattisgarh geography: a forested area bordering Maharashtra, Odisha, and Telangana, with poor transport and communication facilities. Chhattisgarh has been a late entrant in the anti-Maoist operations. In the first decade of the century, the state wasted precious time in civil militias like the Salva Judum before course correcting to train its police force and reaching out to people with welfare measures. The state government must not lower its guard, but even as it turns on the heat against insurgents, it must take care to ensure that civilians are not in harm's way. Good riddance. Biren Singh's resignation was long overdue. Whoever replaces him has the task cut out, restore lost trust. And Biren Singh's resignation as the Chief Minister of Manipur, 21 months after the ongoing Meitei Kuki ethnic conflict erupted in May 23, is belated. The needle has finally moved in Manipur. Governor Ajay Kumar Bhalla has accepted his resignation and asked him to continue in office until alternate arrangements are made. An outcome starkly different from June 23 when the Singh's resignation letter was torn up by supporters outside his residence. While Singh's removal has been a long key demand of Kuki Zo Hamar groups, the center let him continue in the hot seat. By all accounts, have he could not stave off the pressure from some of his own party MLAs eventually. His decision to quit finally comes only 5 days after the Supreme Court ordered a central forensic lab to analyze audio tapes purportedly connecting the dots between Singh and the ethnic violence that convoluted his state. Singh may have seen the writing on the wall, but no clear consensus on the successor. The center may be left with no choice but to impose president's rule amid the uncertainty. It must know, however, that it has no time to lose in firming up a plan for Manipur. The state cannot be adrift. At least 250 people have died and 60,000 displaced, who continue to languish in more than 350 relief camps because of ethnic violence that Singh's government failed to bring to an end. He abdicated his responsibility to resolve the conflict and failed to present himself as a fair and impartial chief minister committed to the welfare of all Manipuris. Now he leaves behind a state that has been remilitarized after years of attempting to move away from insurgency. In a recent statement, Ministry of Home Affairs acknowledged that deteriorating situation in Manipur has contributed to rise in insurgency across northeast. In this context, Singh's departure is a necessary step for the new start, serving as an implicit admission of the state government's failure despite the presence of thousands of security forces. The crucial question now is who will take charge and how they will address the ongoing conflict. The BJP leadership must carefully select a successor capable of bringing all sides back to the negotiating table, regardless of who takes over. However, there are significant structural challenges. Immediate priority must be demilitarization, including swift disarmament of insurgent groups to prevent further violence. Thousands of looted arms and ammunition still unaccounted for must be recovered. Larger goal, moreover, is to restore the lost trust between Metis and Kukis. Ethnic conflict cannot be resolved through force. The fault lines that existed before May 23 have, over the past 20 months, deepened to the extent that neither Metis nor Kukis can venture outside their respective zones of dominance. True normalcy will not be achieved merely when the violence subsides, but when members of both communities can return home and live without fear or prejudice. So that's all for today. See you in the next one. The worldly wise, one good thing about music is that when it hits you, you don't feel any pain.